The screen fades in on a single, unbearably small face. A gray and white kitten, no bigger than a teacup, wears a little red bow slightly crooked on top of its head. It stares straight into the camera. It tilts its head. It blinks slowly, like it's deciding whether you're worth its time. You already know this kitten is trouble. Kittens don't need a reason to be ridiculous. That's the whole point. 1 second they're curled up looking like the most peaceful creature on earth. The next second they're gone, chasing a shadow, attacking a sock, sprinting across the room at full speed for absolutely no reason anyone will ever understand. Somewhere nearby, an empty cardboard box sits on the floor. To a human, it's trash. To a kitten, it's the single greatest discovery in the history of the world. A small kitten climbs in, vanishes completely, then explodes back out a second later like it's escaping a burning building. Then it climbs right back in and does it again, and again. Across the room, a shoelace drags slowly across the carpet, pulled by a hand just out of frame. A kitten spots it immediately. Its whole body goes still, ears forward, eyes locked. This is serious business now. It creeps low, wiggles its back end like it's winding up a spring, and leaps, and misses, completely. It lands 2 feet short, stares at the empty spot on the floor, then calmly sits down and licks its paw like nothing happened, like that was the plan all along. Then there's the mirror. A kitten wanders past its own reflection and freezes. There's another kitten in there, copying everything. Same tilt of the head, same confused stare. The kitten leans in closer. The other kitten leans in too. Suspicious, rude even. It paws at the glass, gets nothing, and backs away with the deep offense of an animal who has just been personally disrespected by its own reflection. Nearby, a different kitten discovers its own tail. This changes everything. It spins in a tight little circle, chasing the tail round and round, faster and faster, until it stumbles sideways and flops over, dizzy and thoroughly defeated by a body part that was attached to it the entire time. On the wall, the afternoon light throws a small moving shadow, just a curtain shifting in the breeze. But to a kitten crouched nearby, this is clearly a threat of the highest order. Its whole body drops low, eyes wide, tail twitching at the tip. It stalks the shadow like a tiny lion stalking prey across the savannah, completely convinced this is the most important hunt of its life. That's the thing about kittens. They commit. Whatever ridiculous mission they've invented in their heads, they take it completely seriously, and that's exactly why it's impossible to look away. The room settles for a moment. A soft hush falls over the chaos, just long enough for you to think maybe things are calming down. Then, across the floor, a blanket moves. Not much, just a small shift near the edge, like something underneath is breathing. The red bow kitten notices first. Its ears snap up, its eyes go enormous. Every muscle in its tiny body locks into place, frozen mid-step, staring at that one moving spot on the blanket like it just spotted the most dangerous creature in the house. Slowly, one paw lifts off the ground, then another. The kitten creeps forward, low and deliberate, completely convinced it has discovered something no other creature has ever seen before. And just as it gets close enough, it pounces. The blanket explodes into motion. The blanket doesn't stand a chance. What started as one small pounce turns into a full wrestling match. The red bow kitten disappears completely under the fabric, and for a second there's nothing but a lump moving across the floor, rolling, twisting, occasionally producing a tiny muffled paw that pokes out and grabs at nothing. It escapes. It immediately turns around and attacks the blanket again, as if the blanket had somehow started this whole thing. Across the room, another kitten has spotted an older cat dozing in a patch of sunlight. This seems like the perfect opportunity for a stealth mission. The kitten drops into a crouch, creeping forward one careful paw at a time, and then steps directly on a squeaky toy. The older cat's eyes snap open. The kitten freezes mid-step, one paw still in the air, looking as innocent as physically possible. Nearby, a kitten eyes a soft cushion sitting a little too far away. It backs up, wiggles, gathers itself for the leap, and misjudges the distance completely. It lands half on, half off, sliding sideways into the world's most awkward landing, before sitting up and glancing around the room, as if checking whether anyone saw that. Someone left a paper bag on the floor. Big mistake. A kitten dives straight in, vanishing entirely except for one small tail sticking out the opening, swishing back and forth like a flag announcing exactly where it's hiding. It doesn't seem to understand this. It stays perfectly still, fully convinced it is invisible. Another kitten has its eye on a gap behind the couch. clearly too small for a kitten already round with baby fat. It tries anyway, head first. It gets its front half in, pauses, wiggles and gets stuck at the shoulders. It does not accept defeat. It tries again from a slightly different angle, with the same result. The energy starts building. Two kittens spot the same toy mouse at the same moment and take off after it from opposite sides of the room. They arrive at the exact same second, skid to a stop nose to nose, and just stare. Neither one moves. Neither one seems to remember what they were doing a second ago. After a long pause, one of them slowly reaches out a single paw and taps the other on the head, as if to say your move. One kitten decides this is the perfect moment for a sneak attack, while another kitten grooms itself nearby, completely unaware. The attacker creeps low, tail twitching, building up to a dramatic leap, and slips on the hardwood floor halfway through the jump, sliding sideways into a potted plant instead of its target. The intended victim doesn't even look up. What makes it funnier every time is what happens right after. No kitten ever looks embarrassed. They sit up straight, groom a paw, glance around the room with total composure, completely unbothered, as if every failed jump and every faceplant was precisely the plan. By now the whole room has turned electric. Several kittens start running in different directions at once, weaving around furniture, bouncing off the edges of the couch, turning a quiet living room into something closer to a racetrack with no rules and no finish line. In the middle of all of it, one kitten suddenly stops dead still. It sits upright in the eye of the storm, while its littermates race past on every side, and stares directly at the camera with an expression that seems to ask one simple question: what, exactly, is everyone else doing right now? It doesn't get an answer, because somewhere behind it, three kittens have just spotted the exact same spinning toy at the exact same time, and none of them are slowing down. It starts with just one kitten. No warning, no reason. It simply takes off, sprinting full speed from one end of the room to the other, ears pinned back, tail puffed out like a bottle brush. There's nothing chasing it, there's nothing to chase. It's just running, because running is suddenly the most important thing in the world. A second kitten sees this and decides that whatever is happening must be worth joining, even though it has absolutely no idea what's going on. It launches itself off the couch and into the sprint. Then a third joins, then a fourth. Within seconds the room is a blur, paws skidding on hardwood, tails whipping around corners, tiny bodies bouncing off furniture and each other, all chasing something that doesn't exist. Somewhere off camera, a human laughs and gives up trying to make sense of any of it. In the middle of the storm, one kitten has had enough. It sits perfectly still on the rug, spine straight, expression unreadable, while chaos streaks past on every side. It doesn't flinch, it doesn't blink. It looks like it has personally decided none of this is its problem anymore. Then, one by one, the smaller moments start stacking up. A kitten spots a stray piece of paper on the floor and attacks it with the fury of something that has personally wronged it. Another sneezes, a tiny, unexpected proof, and then looks around the room in total confusion, as if someone else must be responsible. One kitten lines up a jump onto a chair, gets halfway into the air, changes its mind mid-leap, and lands back exactly where it started, looking mildly betrayed by its own body. Across the room, a spinning toy left over from earlier catches the light. A kitten locks onto it immediately, eyes huge, body frozen, and then, with zero warning, launches sideways instead of forward, missing the toy by a wide margin and looking almost offended that it's still spinning. Then the humans get pulled in. Someone tries to sit down on the couch for just a moment of peace. It doesn't last. A kitten is on their lap before they've even settled, followed almost immediately by a second one climbing up their sleeve, then a third meowing loudly from the floor, clearly unwilling to be left out. Within seconds the person is buried under a small mountain of fur, each kitten trying to out-cute the last one for the prime attention spot. And then, the red bow kitten reappears. It sits at the edge of the room, watching all of it unfold, the running, the pouncing, the complete and total anarchy. It tilts its head, the same slow, deliberate tilt from the very beginning, as if genuinely trying to process what its siblings have become. For a moment it looks like maybe, just maybe, this one kitten is going to stay above it all. Then, without any hesitation, it dives straight into the middle of the chaos. The last calm creature in the room is gone. Every single kitten is now fully, completely, gloriously out of control, chasing, tumbling, hiding, pouncing on things that were never toys to begin with. investigating every inch of the room as if it might explode with new discoveries. The energy climbs and climbs, paws sliding, tails flicking, tiny bodies colliding and bouncing off each other in every direction. And then, almost as suddenly as it began, it stops. One kitten flops sideways mid-run, another sits down hard, breathing fast. A third simply stares at the wall, as if it's forgotten what it was doing entirely. The room, seconds ago a blur of fur and motion, goes quiet. Slowly the room comes back to life, but softer this time. Toys sit scattered across the floor, tiny evidence of everything that just happened. A shoelace lies abandoned near the couch. The paper bag has been flattened into something unrecognizable. The cardboard box, once the site of so much daring exploration, now holds something new. One kitten climbs inside it and simply lies down, tucking its paws underneath its chest, eyes half closed. The box that started so much chaos in Act 1 has become the quietest place in the room. Nearby, the kitten that spent so much energy chasing its own tail finally curls into a tight circle on a soft blanket. Breathing slow and even, its tail rests peacefully against its side, completely forgotten now, no longer an enemy, no longer a mystery, just a tail. Another kitten stretches out flat on its back in a patch of afternoon sun, belly rising and falling, completely unbothered by the world. A few feet away, two littermates who had been racing full speed minutes earlier are now pressed against each other, eyes closed, breathing in the same slow rhythm, as if the running never happened at all. The human who was buried under a small mountain of fur earlier finally gets that quiet moment they were looking for, except now it's earned. They sit back, watching the room settle, smiling at how quickly a house full of tiny tornadoes can turn into a house full of sleeping angels. Then the red bow kitten returns to the frame. It walks slowly to the same spot from the very beginning of the video, and settles down into the exact same pose, paws tucked beneath its chest, back straight, giant eyes facing the camera. For a few seconds it looks like the picture of innocence. Calm, composed, like it has never caused a single moment of trouble in its life. If you didn't know better, you'd believe it. The narrator's voice returns, quieter now, almost reflective. Kittens don't need big adventures. They don't need expensive toys or elaborate plans. A cardboard box is enough. A shoelace is enough. A shadow on the wall is enough. Their curiosity turns the most ordinary objects into mysteries worth solving, and their total seriousness about complete nonsense is exactly what makes them impossible not to love. For a moment it seems like the perfect place to end things. The room is calm, the kittens are asleep, the chaos has passed. Then the red bow kitten's head tilts, just slightly. Its ears lift, its eyes go wide again, that same enormous, unmistakable look from the very first pounce of the video. Something, somewhere off to the side of the room, has moved. The kitten doesn't hesitate. It springs up from its perfectly peaceful pose and takes off running, vanishing out of frame in an instant, leaving behind nothing but a faint rustle and an empty spot on the floor where a moment of calm used to be. The narrator delivers the final line, warm and a little amused, and there it goes again, silly for absolutely no reason. The camera holds steady on the sleeping pile of kittens left behind, soft, still and completely innocent looking, as if not one of them had anything to do with the chaos of the last 30 minutes. The screen fades to black,